Mr. Banks is recognized for 5 minutes.
Secretary Austin, the New York Times this morning reported the daily average for COVID-19 cases in the U.S. is at 27,573, much less than the 0.0001% of the total U.S. population. With COVID cases at all-time lows, why are we still enforcing the COVID vaccine mandate on our military personnel?
We've seen variants of this virus, wane and then grow again, and so this is a medical readiness requirement, and it will remain so.
General Milley, during a moment of increased action from Russia to China, is it worth it? Is it worth sacrificing our end strength for vaccine mandates? Would you rather have a few extra battalions of unvaccinated soldiers or not have them at all because of this?
Thanks, Congressman. I don't think it's an either or. I think we're an organization that requires, and you're a veteran yourself, we get a lot of vaccinations. Anthrax is very, very low out there, and we still get anthrax vaccinations and so on. So I think getting vaccinated is part of the readiness issue of the health of the force. The numbers are very low, by the way, of those that are refusing to be vaccinated, and they're even lower. I mean, it's tiny, the numbers that are actually being asked to process out. So I think it's manageable, and I think that I would prefer that everybody just go ahead and get vaccinated.
According to a CNN article on January 18th, the Army National Guard missed its goal by over 8,000,
Yep.
adding only 34,658 recruits for FY21.
Right.
The 2023 defense budget request just released by the administration reduces the size of the Army by 12,000 soldiers. Is the Army cutting their numbers because they know they can't recruit enough people to meet their quotas?
I've talked to General McConnell about it a couple of different times. I think two major factors. One is the population at large, those that are eligible to enter the military, those numbers are actually pretty low. So that's one point. It's the accessions challenge that's out there in recruiting on an annual basis. The second piece is that they want to reduce manpower in order to save the money and recoup that into modernization efforts. Those are the two fundamental reasons that the Army is doing what they're doing.
General, is it a coincidence that the Army is moving forward with now involuntarily separating our soldiers and then offering a new $50,000 signing bonus to recruits who want to join the Army? And how much additional cost are we going to incur because of the increased recruiting bonuses to combat projected losses for unvaccinated military personnel?
I'd have to get back to you on a cost analysis in terms of the actual dollars relative to the bonus. You mentioned the $50,000 bonus. But again, I'd go back to, I checked with General McConnell just yesterday. The numbers are actually being compelled to depart the military is very, very small in the Army. And I think it's likewise in the other services as well. There is a recruiting challenge, though, for the Army. The other services are meeting their recruiting goals. They're on glide path for this fiscal year, but the Army is challenged, both Guard and active.
General Milley, on March 18th, the U.S. Army discharged 3 soldiers, the first time it has booted troops for failing to comply with the COVID-19 vaccine mandate. It's projected that 2,692 soldiers, the size of a couple of Army battalions, have not taken the vaccine and will likely be separated from the Army. Once again, how is this loss of personnel going to hurt the overall end strength of the Army?
I think if 2,000 are kicked out, I think that would hurt. But I think there's an issue of education here and persuasion. And making sure that these soldiers are making informed decisions.
As of March 3rd, Army commanders have relieved a total of 6 regular Army leaders, including 2 battalion commanders, and issued 3,183 general officer written reprimands to regular Army soldiers for not taking the vaccination. How has this loss of leadership and focus on administrative burdens improved Army warfighting readiness and enhanced combat power?
Well, again, Congressman, I think that the idea of the health of the force, the readiness of the force, and getting a vaccination is a contributing factor to that, I think is fundamental to the overall readiness of the force. So I regret that commanders are getting relieved for things like that. I didn't know the numbers that you mentioned. I'll go back to the Army and get the actual data. But we are an institution that has a sole set of requirements in terms of the health of the force and shots and et cetera. And there's a policy, and our job is to enforce the policy.
Thank you. I yield back.
Mr. Crow is recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.